quilters, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kristen with ISeeStarsQuilting.com, and today we are going on a quilting vacation. Okay, I have been wanting to make a trip around the world quilt for quite a while now, and what this quilt starts with is our favorite pre-cut, the jelly roll, right? So I have this one right here. It's a Moda jelly roll, and it's got a lot of rainbowy fun colors to it. You see how gorgeous these prints are? And then see it from the side. Look at how gorgeous all those colors are. I love, love, love this one. So that's what we are going to start with today, and what we're going to wrap up with, I'm gonna give you a sneak peek right here, is this gorgeous quilt top right here. I mean, how beautiful does this quilt turn out? So I'm gonna show you step by step how to make this quilt today, give you all the tutorials, things to just make it easier. So do me a favor, hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed to my channel, and please, 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 if you have any comments, leave them down below. I love, love, love to answer and read through the comments. So let's get started today. Let's make this trip around the world quilt. This right here, again, is what we're starting with. This is just your standard jelly roll. It's from Moda, and it has 40 strips that are 42 inches long. And what I've decided to do, no longer perfect, right, is I'm going to put them in color order because I kind of want them to look scrappy, right? I want my trip around the world quilt to look scrappy, but I'm going to put them in color order because each block is going to have one of the rainbow colors in it. Okay, now that I have all of my piles set out, some of them are a little bit not in rainbow order, but I think once I get them all on the quilt, it's all gonna be fine. So this is one of those quilts that we are doing that is fun, okay? It's fun. It's not meant to like be absolutely perfect and for you to stress over, okay? It's meant to be fun, and that's the way we are going to treat it. So, okay, so every quilt is going to have the light colored strip, every quilt block that is, okay? And then we're gonna do all of the rest of them in order. Okay, so we're gonna do red, let's say orange yellow, because there weren't a whole lot in that jelly roll that did orange yellow. Okay, and then we have our green strips, our blue strips, our pinkish strips, and then our purples. It's not a perfect rainbow. I'll give you that. It's not a perfect rainbow, but it's not bad either. So my first block, I'm gonna start with a light colored one, and then I'm gonna grab a red one, and then I'm gonna grab the orange yellow pile, you know, ish, the green pile, and just go down my strips. What I want to do is I want to keep all of these in order so that I am not going to mix them up, because they need to be in order when I'm sewing them, right? Now, if you want a little bit more variety in your quilt top, you can take each of your 40-inch long strips and cut them up into 20-inch long strips. That will give you some more variety, and actually you can probably get a little bit more out of each of these strips too if you cut them in half. So I'm just going through and I'm cutting right at that mark there where it's already folded in half from when it came to me. And you don't have to be super precise about this part, which is always something that I'm going to add when you don't have to be precise, because there is some freedom in that. So I'm going to cut it in half, only use one of each of these strips for my project. And then we're going to take it over to the sewing machine and work on it. Now that I've got my strips here at the sewing machine, we're gonna sew through this block right here together. Actually, this is important, so I'm gonna tell you this right now. it does not matter which order your strips are in, as long as they are in the same order for every single one of your blocks. I went in rainbow order because that's how my brain thinks. But if you want to go completely random, that's fine too, okay? That's fine too. But the continuity of your pattern and the secondary pattern that it's going to develop with your blocks is going to show up if they are in the same order every single block, right? So you could put the white, in this case, at the very end. You could put the white somewhere in the middle. It doesn't really matter. But they need to be in the same order in every single block that you sew, okay? So I just put the white at the front and then did like a rainbow order. You don't have to follow my way of doing things, but that's how I'm deciding to do it, and that's how I'm going to process every single block after this. Here I have my strips in order, and I am just going to take one strip and I'm going to put all of the rest of them here next to me and work on sewing them right sides together and do a 1/4 inch seam all the way down right here on every single one. There's that seam sewn all the way down, taking my next piece and adding it to this side, and I'm just gonna go all the way out this way with my pieces in order. Let me give you a tip here. If 1/4 inch seams are not really your thing, I'm gonna show you exactly how I watch my sewing machine and where to look to get the most accurate seams. Because 1/4 inch seams, it's one of those steps in the quilting process that if you don't have it down, you're going to notice more errors in other parts of the quilt making process rather than you would if you did have them down, okay? Because you think, you know, if I go like a scant, which is just a little under a 1/4 inch seam, then you know, it's not going to matter that much. It's only like this much fabric, right? But actually, if you do this much fabric on every single seam, it adds up. And then you're gonna start like seeing corners aren't coming together. You're having a really hard time matching up other seams. It's just something that's annoying, and you just think, well, why can't I get this right? Well, it's because those tiny little details actually do matter. So I'm gonna show you what I look for while I'm sewing to get that perfect 1/4 inch seam. On my sewing machine foot, I have this little line right here that is my 1/4 inch line, okay? You can also be one of those people who puts like a piece of tape on their sewing machine to keep it lined straight all the way across. You can do all kinds of different things. There's 1/4 inch feet. There's different ways that you can help yourself along this step. You don't have to like suffer the whole time, right? But what I look for is I take a moment and I line up my fabric. I want to make sure that these sides are even. And then my eye is watching this line on my sewing machine foot the entire time. The needle knows what it's doing, right? The needle knows what it's doing. I'm letting the feed dogs do their job, which is to carry the fabric straight through the sewing machine, okay? For these straight seams, I am watching this line and making sure that my fabric is not doing this number, it's not doing this number, and I know that was an exaggeration, but I'm making sure that my fabric stays lined up with this, and I'm worrying about absolutely nothing else, okay? Absolutely nothing else. I just wanna make sure that it's going through and it is touching this line every single time. This little 1/4 inch line right here. And you can watch, this stays the same. And there we have that nice 1/4 inch seam. And it's really nice and straight the whole time, okay? So if you have a good machine, trust your needle to do what it knows how to do, which is up and down business, right? And then just watch your seams right there. That's all you have to do. Just watch and make sure that that stays even, okay? I'm gonna sew the last one here, and then I'll show you what the next easy step in this block is. in this block that we're going to sew is we're going to fold it in half. Right sides are together, right? This is the pretty side of the fabric. That's the wrong side of the fabric. We're gonna put these sides together and we are going to sew all the way down from here to the end. So yeah, we're gonna be making like a loop, okay? It's gonna be like a circle with all of the right sides of the fabric on the inside. See, we've made like a cylinder or a sleeve, if you will, with our fabrics. Okay, nice 20-inch long pieces. I'm gonna take this to the cutting table and show you what to do next. For this step, you're going to need your ruler, your rotary cutter, and the fabric that you just sewed. What we're gonna do is we're gonna fold this in half. But what I want you to do is I want you to kind of shake out this top one and smooth it down as much as you can. This bottom strip down here is going to be folded in half. All right. But you just want to make sure that there are no weird folds underneath the fabric. Then you're going to take your ruler and you're going to do a nice straight edge on one side right here because you want a nice good straight edge to start with. Okay, and then you need 2.5-inch strips. Okay, same as what we started with. 2.5-inch strips all the way down. Another quick note here is if you're like, oh my God, Kristen didn't iron her folds. She didn't iron her seams. I got a tip from somebody that said you don't actually have to iron your seams until this whole quilt is done. So I'm trying that out because you know why? Because I don't like ironing. So I'm going to try that out and see how it goes. You just have to be conscious when you're sewing your blocks together and the next step that you don't have twisted seams, which I'm cool with that, right? I'm cool with that. So we're gonna try this out. I'm not gonna iron a single seam until this whole quilt is put together. You're gonna cut 7 of these, okay? Because 7 of these is what's going to make up the block. Now, we can keep cutting more and more, and I will show you how to do that in a little bit. But for right now, I'm making this first block. I'm just going to cut 7 of them. And every time I'm lining my ruler up, I have this like piece of tape basically that goes down here, and it is at 2.5 inches. And I just know to line up the edge of this tape with the edge of my fabric right here so that I don't have to measure every single time. I don't have to look and count on my ruler every single time. It's just there. So it's kind of a good visual cue if you need just a little bit of extra help. All right, I have my 7 pieces here. This is what is left over. I'm gonna set this aside for right now because I don't know if I need it. Probably not going to need it, but I could easily make something really scrappy with it later on. The next tool that you're going to need is something that you generally do not like to use in your sewing room, but today it's going to be your friend, and that is your trusty little seam ripper. So here's what we're going to do. In all of this, I am going to find my white square. Okay, this one right here, that's what the underside looks like. I'm going to find my white square, and right now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take out this seam right here. Now why am I taking out the seam that I just sewed? Keep watching. I'm going to put my white square at the top here, okay? I'm going to grab another one of my 7, and my white square is going to be second. So I'm going to go down. Oh, I almost did it wrong. I'm going to pick out this purple one because the purple one is at the bottom right here. So I'm going to pick out this purple seam right here. And you're going to watch what's happening as I'm sewing this. So y'all are getting like absolutely first timer tutorial here, and I'm figuring things out as I'm going. Yes, I've seen some other tutorials on this, but oh, see, look at that. I did it right. Okay, so you've got white, white, red, red, orange, orange. This was green, green, blue, blue, pink, pink, purple, purple, right? So you're going to kind of create this stair step effect. I'm sorry, I got really excited there. What I was saying is, you're seeing like me figuring this out like the first time that I've done it. I've seen this pattern a lot of times, but I have never tried it myself. So rather than coming from like an expert point of view, you're getting like a beginner point of view. Okay, yes. So now I've got my blue one. The next one that I want to be at the bottom here is going to be my green. So I need to pick out between these two seams, not these two, because that one ended up being here. So I need to pick out between these two seams. Knowledge is good, you know? Knowledge is good. Mistakes are good. Mistakes are okay. You know, I mean, honestly, if I pick out the wrong seam, I just have to go back and sew a 2.5 inch seam. It's not that big a deal. There we go. There we go. I thought I almost did it wrong again. That would have been upsetting. But I did it right. It's okay. It's fine. All of it's fine. So I'm going to put these in, pick out this seam here. I'm just going to go through and put the orange at the top. So now that I have my block pieces laid out, isn't that gorgeous? And look how easily that came together. I mean, this looks like it was a really hard one just because it's so many blocks and it has so many like patterns and stuff on here, but it's really actually fairly easy. So what I'm going to do, I like to use these clips to help me keep like the tops of things organized, right? I'm going to go through and I'm going to take the top of each of these rows and pin them one on top of the other, okay? That way I keep them organized and I don't have to worry about what order they're in or anything. And then, just in case something happens on the way to the sewing machine, putting a clip there on the top. And I'm gonna go sew these edge to edge to edge, just like I did my other blocks. And you're gonna see the seam allowance get taken up right here in the sides. And then this is the first one. Actually, let's put these here. I'm still keeping tabs of which part is the top, and I'm just gonna lay them right here in front of my sewing machine so that I don't have to mess them up as I'm going this way. And then I'm gonna take the second one, put my tops together, right side together. And with these seams here, this is what I meant, where you don't have to iron these just yet, which is amazing, right? Nobody likes to iron and get the iron out. If you want to iron, that's fantastic. What you'll want to do is you'll want to iron this strip with the pieces going down and this strip with the pieces going up. So you see, if I had actually ironed all of them when it was in the big long strip, they wouldn't be going the right way. So already I'm loving that person who told me you don't have to iron. But you want to nest your seams. And by nesting your seams, I mean that I want one seam to go down and the other seam to go up. It doesn't matter which one, but it's better if you keep them going the same way, because in the end, you're gonna have to sew another strip to this piece right here. When I get to my next strip, I'm gonna have to sew another strip onto this one. And so it's easier if they just all go the same way and you have to repeat the same action. Check out how lovely all of those corners match up. Ah, beautiful, 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 beautiful. This is turning out to be so scrappy already, and I'm in love. All right, moving on to the next one, taking the top, placing it right on top of the row that I just sewn, making sure my seams are going the right way, and then pushing it through the sewing machine. Hey, real quick, if you're one of those people that are like, I don't press my seams to the side, I always like my seams open, let's have a chat real quick, because you might be like, I can't do it to the side. I like my seams open. If you have always pressed them open, I want you to try them to the side this time, because pressing them to the side, or actually not even pressing them, pushing them to the side, because we haven't gotten our iron out yet, pushing them to the side and learning how to nest your seams like I was showing you real close a minute ago is going to get you those perfect corners coming together. Okay, this is kind of a cheat way to do lots of tiny pieces in a quilt, right? It's kind of a cheat way because we're doing strips and we're not actually sewing, 2.5-inch square block to 2.5-inch square blocks, right? We're sewing long strips and making sure those corners meet up, right? It's gonna look really cool if you can get all those corners to match up, right? That's gonna be like, ooh, quilting heaven. Okay, so try doing your seams in a nested way. If you want another video on how to nest your seams, I'm gonna put a link up at the top here to a video that I have specifically on nesting your seams for a little bit more in-depth tutorial on that. But yeah, we're gonna get some nice corners if you do this method. Guys, check this out. My beautiful block is done. One of many blocks. But I love the way this came out. Look how scrappy and fun this is. And you can't even tell that like this started out as a jelly roll, right? It looks like I cut up all these tiny strips. Now, I want to show you because I know some people are gonna tell me, Kristen, my seams are not that perfect. I can't get my squares to match up. First of all, nesting your seams is really an important step to this. But even if you don't get your seams perfect, let me see, I know there was a spot that I really, I messed up on here. Let me see if I can find it. Ah, here it is. This one right here. This one accidentally sewed open. Could I have gone through, unpicked that, and redid it again? I could have. But you know what I chose to do? That one is just gonna get ironed open and it's not gonna be a big deal because look at the front. Like it matches up just fine on the front, right? It matches up just fine. The only people that are gonna know about this seam right here where I accidentally sewed open instead of, nested like I wanted it to is me. Can you tell from the front of the quilt? No, you can't. You can't tell from the front of the quilt. Well, the only people that are gonna know is me and the thousands of YouTube video watchers that I just spilled my secrets to. So no judging me on my quilt, okay? You'll probably never be able to see it, but still, this is gorgeous, okay? I want you guys to look at your mistakes and your imperfections with a knowledge of nobody else is gonna know. Okay, nobody else is gonna know these mistakes that are happening in here. And there's a couple of them. I showed you one, but I'm not showing you anymore because those mistakes are mine to know and yours to not worry about. So now I'm gonna take all of my other fabric strips and I'm gonna do the exact same thing with this block. And then I'm gonna show you how to put them up on your design board and how to turn them into a big giant quilt top. Ta-da! All of my blocks are sewn. Now they're not perfect on here because they are not ironed yet. So all of my seams are still kind of wonky, going in all different directions, and thus the piece is not completely flat. So I need to iron it before I do the next step probably, or maybe I'll wait until after I sew each block together. But I wanted to show you, this is the block right here. Okay, you can see in this picture right here, it is 7 pieces across and 7 pieces tall. You saw how easily it came together when we were doing that looped technique, right? That was pretty awesome, and I really loved doing that. And then you can see like this secondary pattern that comes up when I put together all 4 of like the white centerpieces, right? And then I do all 4 of like the purple centerpieces, okay? That's how it just happened to turn out. The purple centerpieces here, they're kind of like red centerpieces. Up there, they would be purple. That would be white. Up there, they would be red. You know, it's matching these centerpieces up here. They're red. That kind of gives it this cross look that's very scrappy, yet very, very nice. Now, this, I did have a couple extra strips, and I could have kept going, but it wouldn't have given me an even number. Like, I could do like 2 by 4, or I could do, I could maybe come up with like 10 squares, maybe 11. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and check. But I decided to keep it at 9 squares. Okay, now these squares end up tiny. These are 2-inch squares. They're 2-inch squares. So it's going to give you a nice, really, really tiny, scrappy look. Now, what I'm going to do, because this is not like that grand of a quilt size, right? It's more like a baby quilt. I would say like an infant quilt. You know, it's not that big of a play mat or anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some borders. I could add some sashing in between these blocks, but I want to keep that nice block pattern going. So I'm going to add some borders around the outside of it, and I'm going to go through my stash and I'll show you what I come up with. I might do a purple border, then the black and white, and then this light pink with the polka dots on it. We'll try that. I don't know. I'm going to play with it and see what happens, and then I'll let you see the final result. I love that I used my white fabrics as my kind of anchoring fabrics, you know, the ones that I talked about in the very middle of the block that go all the way across. I love that I used the white fabrics for that because it just kind of sets off these little rainbow patterns that I see in every single block. I love it. I think it's gorgeous. This quilt is so much fun. It turned out to be a really, really good sized quilt as well. And all of it came from just one jelly roll. And I love using jelly rolls because they're pre-matched. I don't ever have to worry about, you know, is this tone going to match with this tone? Is it going to look funny, you know, looking at it from afar? Is it going to look funny looking up close? Are the patterns going to match and everything? No, it's a jelly roll. It's already done for you. So that's the easiest way to start. You can also do this using your scrap fabrics, though. You don't have to go out and buy new fabric to start with this. Just use your scrap fabrics, right? And you could do kind of like the same rainbow pattern, but just, you know, keep all your reds together, all your oranges together, all your yellows, so on and so forth, all the way down the line. Thanks so much for checking out this video today. I really appreciate it. I hope that you have so much fun sewing your own trip around the world quilt. You know, maybe put on some fun music or something from another country to make it feel like you're actually going on a quilty vacation, which, you know, every time that I spend in my own quilting studio is definitely a relaxing vacation for me. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next week. I'm Kristen with ISeeStarsQuilting.com. Have a wonderful week. Bye.